And we have to say, Logan Ruffin is you're 13 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
And son, you've got a reputation. You are a great race car driver.
Thank you.
Natural ability?
I don't know. I mean, it always takes a lot of practice. There's never a off week necessarily. You're always either working on the car or going to the track and actually practicing. So I guess that some of it may be, and a lot of it's a lot of seat time.
I mean, well, I was going to ask you, you said you started at 8 years old.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you start in go-karting?
Started in quarter midgets.
Quarter midgets.
And the only
Is
difference...
that like a slingshot?
No, it's an asphalt car. It's oval.
So
it just
you've
has a roll
never
cage.
raced on dirt?
No.
Okay.
I want to try it. Not necessarily.
Well, I've got a trailer full of really fast go-karts, and we'll take you out and let you do dirt here and then dirt across the street. They've got, what do they call those, the next thing up to dirt, the dirt track cars? What do they call them?
No,
dadgum. Anyway, the dirt, I was bored with the dirt. I didn't like that. We went over to the North Georgia track. I didn't like dirt. I like asphalt.
It's a lot of fun. Dirt cars put on a good show just because, they slide around, they beat and bang. But the asphalt cars are, you don't get as dirty or anything, and they really do. It's tough. The asphalt cars, you get right up on each other, and you really have at it.
How fast do you run every weekend?
It depends on the track. Well, we're going Wednesday to Iowa Speedway, and at the end of the straightaway there, we can do 180 miles an hour.
Okay, now look, this kid is 13 years old. He is so cute. He is so together. He is so with it.
He's faster than I've ever run.
And he's going 180 miles an hour. My Lord, do your parents, do they get unnerved about this?
I mean, they still do. It used to be worse than what it is. The quarter midgets are open-wheeled, so they flip a lot.
Right.
My mom always was a little nervous about that. But, we've been doing this for 6 years now, and they've gotten pretty used to it, but it's still,
wow.
You go to a new fast track like this, it's still kind of nerve-wracking.
Who will you be racing against this weekend?
Really, in the kind of cars that I'm running would be the best. The ASA series is basically one of the premier crate late model series. The guys that you hear about, if you know about all the late model series, Eddie Hoffman, Sean Murphy, all those guys will be there. They're the best.
And what age are they?
Eddie's probably in his 40s, and Sean Murphy's probably 20 or 30.
How do you think they feel about a 13-year-old kid putting them in the wall?
I mean, yeah, you always shoot not to do that. But, a lot of people are nice to you. They'll come up and meet you, shake your hand, they'll race you clean, and then you'll have a few every once in a while that they don't give you any room to pass. They'll be rough with you sometimes.
Well, that's funny because Saturday night I was so upset because a kid was blocking Nick, and Nick was faster, better, had better equipment, and the guy just kept getting in his way and wouldn't let him go by. And finally, they wrecked. But it was kind of playing cat and mouse, and I'm like, get him out of your way. So when he comes off the track, I said, why didn't you knock the fire out of him? He said, Mama, his mother keeps score here. I said, I don't care what his mother does. Sometimes you just have to get out there and knock him out of your way, don't you?
You do, and I mean, these cars are really, they're made to have a little bit of that. They're made so you can really get after each other, and every once in a while, on a short track especially, it takes that little nudge just to get him out of the way. And it's not that you're being a dirty driver or anything. That's really the way it is. And you don't have to do that all the time. Sometimes you'll get the good pass, and a lot of times if it's a long race, if it's a 400-lap race, you can be patient and wait, and you can stay right on them, and they'll look up and see that in the mirror, and they'll mess up and scoot right on by you.
And I love when they mess up and you scoot on by. That is so much fun. Now, who is your crew chief?
Dick Woodman. We actually just moved our whole operation to Mooresville, North Carolina, the Heart of Racing.
I went in last week and I said, Nick, how would you feel about if we sold everything and moved to North Carolina? He said, yes, absolutely yes.
Place to be.
And he said, how would you go to work at ETC? I said, well, I forgot to tell you, I'm going to buy a little cabin and keep one little place here. And I'll be here Monday through Friday, and then we'll go to the Carolinas on the weekend. It is where racing is all about, isn't it?
It really is. I mean,
and you have
Concord
to be
and Mooresville.
there. Yeah.
It is. And it's not, you don't have to travel as much either. They have 5 or 6 tracks that are within an hour of you.
Exactly.
And they're all got a lot of history behind them. Everybody's raced there. Some of the Cup teams even go and practice there because of their rules, what they're practicing.
Have you been on Charlotte Motor Speedway?
No, I raced a legend car there on their little quarter mile in the infield, and that was fun. But yeah, I've been inside the track.
I've walked that track 1.5 times because when my husband was dying of cancer, he wanted to go there. And we walked the track 1.5
That's
times. He loved racing. He loved Dale Earnhardt. He was actually buried in a Dale Earnhardt shirt. And it wasn't a cruddy T-shirt. It was a nice dress shirt. But we love racing. And it's kind of our family connection. You know, we all love racing. And we don't like the M&M car at all. Now, what kind of car do you run? What?
Well,
Please don't tell me it's a Toyota.
no, it's a Chevy.
Praise the Lord.
I
Way to see if it had a Motown in front.
in the beginning of when I first started last year in July, ran a Ford, and this may not make a whole lot of sense, but the Ford motors, it's not that there's anything wrong with them, but they're a whole lot more work.
Really?
The spark plugs are in a difficult place. I mean, everything is like in one little spot in the motor, and it's like you have to have hands that are tiny to be able to do anything on it. So we switched everything over to Chevy. Had a lot of good luck with the Chevy cars, even.
I'm with you.
So, Toyotas though this year have gotten pretty fast.
Toyotas are winning. I know, but it's just
Don't
not
sound-
right.
don't sound
It
right.
just ain't right. Now we're in America. This is the
know.
American dream, NASCAR. Now, who's somebody you really respect in racing?
Mark Martin.
My husband loved Mark Martin.
He
Loved
has
him.
a great attitude in his interviews. Whether even if he gets punted in the wall, he gets 40-30, he wins the race. He has a great attitude about it, and he's a smooth race car driver. He saves.
Have
his
you ever been to
equipment.
the Mark Martin Museum in Daytona?
No, not yet.
Well, make your dad take you because I love it. Have you ever heard the song Dead Man's Curve?
No, I don't think so.
Okay,
one
well,
comes back
yeah,
from Dead
the
Man's
60s and Dead Man's Curve, and he has a lot of Corvettes down there, a lot of cool cars. And
There's
when
a
you
picture
walk
of
up
you.
to this car, yeah, there you are. When you walk up to the
Wow.
cars down at Mark Martin's museum, and he changes them about every year, you hear this cool music from the 60s. It's a nice family trip. It's fun.
Wow, that is amazing.
Now, there you are. That is, now look, this
13-year-old
child
boy
is
in a full-size
13
car.
years old. I'm so amazed at you. If I were
That is
filthy
amazing.
rich, I would sponsor you. I just think you're amazing.
Thank you.
I just now your dad was talking about they weight you, and we learned Saturday night. Nick got disqualified because he was 5 pounds light. Now, how do they weight you?
We the ASA cars have to weigh 2,700 pounds. The supercars that have
And you
more
weigh how
horsepower,
much?
105.
105. 105 pounds. Okay.
So that's a lot of
At
car.
one point in the beginning of the year, we had 800 pounds on the car.
And people don't understand. We went and bought lead last weekend. Now, this is weird. You pull up and you buy lead that we attach to the car.
Right.
And I'm looking at this, and I said, how much did we just pay for that lead? And I'm thinking, put you some double cheeseburgers in there, Bubba. You know, I couldn't believe it.
And what's cool is when you weigh less, you have a little bit more flexibility with how you put your lead on the car. And it doesn't sound like it because you still weigh as much, but it really can help how the car handles.
Really?
You
Putting
can
the lead in certain
in different
spots.
places of the car.
Right. And you put the car on the scales and everything, and you look at your rear weight, your left side weight, your right side weight, and your nose weight, and you play with the lead and get it just how you want it, and it can make the car go.
Now, what kind of engine have you got? What?
We actually run 2 different kind of cars. We have a crate car, which is basically just a Chevy motor straight out of GM, straight out of the box. It turns about 460 horsepower to the flywheel. We also have a super motor, which is a Chevy motor also, but it's been played with, and it's about 650 horsepower.
Wow.
And we race both of them equally as much in the CRA series, Pass series, and ASA series.
I have a 67 Chevelle that's 550 horsepower.
That's
It's a good car. It's a good car. If we were ever going to get it out and drive it, I'd let you drive it. But it's just going to sit there and look pretty. So, now, when you started this, did you ever get out of it and say, nah, I don't like this, it's not going to be fun, or immediately did you just take to it and that was it?
I really took to it. But when you first start quarter midgets, they take you on your first day of training, and it took me a few laps to really get up to speed. But once I stepped in it all the way, and in those cars you can hold the gas pedal down all the way the whole time, just absolutely flat out do it. And as soon as I started doing it, I ran like 60 or 70 laps right in a row. And this is my first time in the car, and I spun it one time off the corner, and the nose just touched the wall. And they got to me, they said, "Are you all right?" And I said, "Yeah, can we do it again?"
Oh my gosh.
So it stuck first time we did it. And
Have you ever had a bad wreck?
Well, my worst wreck was in quarter midgets, just because of the open wheel deal. This is at the Eastern Grands, and everybody uses tire soak, makes the tires softer and stickier.
Oh, I know all about tire prep. Oh yeah.
And we got to doing that pretty strong, and it's legal. And the whole track got to be very sticky.
Yes.
And the car, they're light enough that the tires will actually stick hard enough on the right-hand side that the car will lift up. And I got to lifting up on the left-hand side. We call it biking. And about the lap my dad was getting ready to pull me off because I was biking so bad, it caught, and I turned the wheel to the left to catch it, and the right front tire caught in the track. And I flipped 3 times in the air, hit the wall head on, flipped back up in the air, almost hit the camera guy over the wall. And when I landed, because the car's open, my head bounced off the ground, and it knocked me out.
Now, at that point of racing, were you wearing a Hans device?
I wore a Hans device, and probably my second race, I was the only kid at the quarter midget track that had a Hans device, and I also had a seat in my car.
Have to say a Hans device is about $1,300.
It's up there.
Yeah, and it's worth every dime.
It is.
It's worth every dime.
And now they've come out with new ones that you can actually move your head more. The tethers move with you now. It's gotten to be a pretty big deal.
And it's basically for neck protection.
Right. It's when you hit the wall head on, instead of your head flying forward, the tethers that you hook to your helmet off the Hans device will stop your head from moving all the way forward. And it works, too.
Now, we didn't talk about school. Are you homeschooled?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, most of the guys we know who race, and my child does that, they're homeschooled.
Right.
And laptop, get your work done at the track, sit in the motorhome, get your work done. Is that kind of how you do it?
Well, I'm really busy at the track. I mean, I work on my own car sometimes, too, so I try to do my schoolwork at home, not as much at the track just because I don't have time. But
sometimes travel time's a good time to do it.
Right. When you're on also being in the toter home, you know, you had the table and all that in there, so yeah, you can get work done.
Right. And we have to say, you were in Memphis yesterday, came back last night, got here at 1 o'clock in the morning. Thank you very much for doing that. Your mom and dad have given a lot for you to do this, haven't they?
Yes. They always say that before this we had a life.
That sounds so familiar. That sounds like something I might have said. Yeah, because people say, "What are you doing this weekend?" And then they look at me and go, "I know what you're doing. You're racing." Well, duh. Yes, that's what we do. That's what we do.
We actually used to have a boat. We'd go to the lake every weekend. And the boat got sold a couple years ago. They actually did not see it 3 years before they sold it. Just 3 years in a row, never even set eyes on it.
Well, we had a boat. I sold the boat. I did keep the jet skis because my need for speed is on a jet ski. And you wouldn't think it, but, honey, I can wipe out a lake. I am so fast on that jet ski. And it's kind of like, you know, everybody needs that release that they do. I don't scream. I don't cuss. I don't throw things. I just get on that jet ski, and, man, I am wide open. So I don't care how much racing cost us. I'm going to keep my jet skis. Everybody needs an outlet. Now, how's your mom involved in your racing?
Well, she's also a singer, so she likes.
That's what they told me. Now, what does she sing?
She considers herself to be adult alternative, not really pop or rock or country. She has a lot of R&B and soul, is what she said in it, because she's from Memphis. Grew up around Beale Street and everything.
Oh, wow.
But she likes to go to the track.
And your mom knows the best barbecue places in town to eat, doesn't she?
Yes.
Oh, honey, I want to go eat with the Neelys. I want barbecue nachos at the Neelys in Memphis.
It's good.
We'll have to do that.
All right.
Now, does your mom sell CDs? Does she do that on the internet? How does she?
No, she has a website, and you can go on iTunes or CD Baby, any of the big music sites, and you can get her CD.
Name?
Shelly Ruffin.
Shelly Ruffin.
And when she goes to the track, she likes to do the national anthem sometimes. And
how neat is that?
She's probably sang the national anthem more at the racetrack than anybody else for this year. I mean, she's covered all the racetracks we've been to.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat, you know. She gets to go in the pace car sometimes and do the one to go, the initial start. But
Now, what does Dad do?
he really does everything. He'll drive the truck for you. He'll work on the car. You know, he'll be your grease monkey. He'll really do anything.
You know, that's pretty good when a 13-year-old has got a dad. I love it. I just love it. And do you feel like your family gave up anything for you to do this? Or do you just feel like
Definitely.
it's the best decision they could have made?
We really did. You know, we gave up a lot as far as you know, having. Well, we don't. We always say we don't have friends. We don't do anything with anybody else. We go to the racetrack and we see our friends. So they gave up as far as, you know, being able to go out and do stuff together and going to the movies all the time and going to the boat.
That's later when we get old and too old to do anything else. Yeah.
They said they always miss that, but
Yeah.
we probably gave up a pretty good bit, yeah.
Well, I got tickled out. We went racing this weekend, and we'd been rained out 2 weekends in a row. That's one thing about dirt. You know, if it's muddy, you can't race.
Right.
And about 1 a.m., we're racing, and they called. Nick had 2 more races to go, and they called the race because it's raining, and you're wet and muddy and disgusted and been there all day long, and then the skies opened up and it quit. And so they got the racing in, and it's one of those things, we make friends at the track. So when it was racing, we go talk to people and visit.
Right.
Everybody hangs out. So it's kind of your family, you
And
know.
that was one of the neat things about Speed Weeks, being there for 7 days, racing the same track every day. You get to know everybody down there so well, and every day somebody
is
new
like
will come.
family.
It really is. You know, you pit next to the same person every day.
Now, we have to say, you did something remarkable at New Smyrna Beach.
We won 3 out of 6 races down there. One of them got rained out. Won the World Series of Asphalt Championship, and that was actually my first time at New Smyrna. So that was a big week. We had a lot of fun.
Now, did you ever go to driving school?
No.
No, you've never done that. Because a couple of the guys we know have gone to a driving school, one up in Charlotte and one in New Smyrna. And that's why I wondered if you had done that. Do you know Matt Hawkins? Have you met Matt Hawkins yet?
I know the name, haven't met him, I don't think.
Good guy. He's about 22, and he's from this area. He was on the show, and actually, he was on this show one week, and the next week he went to Iowa and won. So maybe we'll bring you some good luck.
My spotter and our truck driver, his son actually is the crew chief for Matt Hawkins.
Oh, really? Neat.
So, yeah, well, we're pretty involved with all of racing, really. As far as my crew goes, my crew manager, the guy that builds our shocks and everything, he's real involved with racing, builds all the Cup guys' shocks. So, but we're pretty deep into it.
Who does fabrication? If you have a wreck, what would you do? Put a new body on, or what would you do?
Well, really, with these cars, we have a ABC body. They send you the parts, and all you really have to do is trim and, you know, do the fine little detail work to get it to all match up real well so you have the right aerodynamics. But typically the crew chief does that, and sometimes we'll have a couple helpers to come over and
Who
do a
are
little
some of
bit
your
it.
sponsors?
I'd like to thank Torco Race Fuels, especially. They've helped us a lot the past couple of years. We have a new sponsor, too, My Second Home Pet Resort. It's a place in Nashville. It's a great place to keep your dogs and animals. Precision Suspension is who builds our shocks. I also like to thank Schoenfeld. They've done so much for us this past year. Give us all of our headers and everything. They gave us a lot of horsepower this year.
Now, tell me about the fuel you use.
We use 110 octane fuel from Torco. It's powerful stuff.
Is it like airplane fuel?
Look at that
Close?
look.
What? Yeah.
Look at
yeah.
that look.
He's a
that not a
he's
killer
a
look?
little bitty boy, and
It's
he's
a-
running
no.
180 miles an hour, for goodness sake.
I'm sorry, I just had to show you
It's
that.
amazing. It is amazing. Well, let me see that picture of him. This is the one that when I saw this, I thought, my Lord, he's just a little bitty boy. Look at that. That is amazing. Now, we're going to let you autograph this and give it away.
Sure. I mean,
Can we do that?
Sure.
Have we got a Sharpie? Has somebody got a Sharpie hidden?
I bet I got one on.
I bet you would, NASCAR driver.
That's right.
That is so cool. I'll tell you, you've definitely got it going on. 2008 Crate Late Model Champion, ASA. It is amazing. Now let's autograph that one.
Okay.
Now, when you leave here, you're going to Iowa.
Yes.
And is it a Friday race, Saturday race?
Well, on Friday you practice for 8 hours, which is the most practice I've ever had in my life in one day.
Wow.
And it's a lot of practice down there. On Saturday we'll qualify, and just because of the track being so big, they're breaking it up. We're supposed to run 150 laps total. We'll do 50 laps. We'll stop there'll be a truck race for about 30 minutes, do another 50 laps, then truck race, then we'll do our final 50. And in ASA, when they do a large race like this, a lot of times they'll let you switch 2 tires at the break. And I don't know how they're going to do it this week. It'll be pretty interesting. I don't think they've ever done a race like this.
Let me ask you something, because you have not hit a growth spurt. When Nick was 9, we got the opportunity to meet Jeff Gordon, and we went to the Atlanta Motor Speedway. And this is funny because Nick didn't know he was going to get to meet Jeff Gordon, and we're not Jeff Gordon fans, but we're Earnhardt to die fans, and we have all this Earnhardt memorabilia, and we got this call that we were invited down to Atlanta to meet Jeff Gordon. And Nick gets home from school that day, and his dad said, "Son, get dressed. Your mom's got a surprise for you." And so I went in there and I said, "Son, we're going to get to go meet Jeff Gordon." He went in the living room. He looked at his dad and he said, "Daddy, are you going to go make me meet that man?" He said, "I don't want to meet Jeff Gordon." And Nick said, "Daddy, don't make me go down there." And I said, "Son, grab some memorabilia and take it. We're getting his autograph, and you're going to meet him." He did not even care about that guy. Well, we had to go buy 2 number 24 cars to get autographed. We didn't own anything Gordon. We went down there, and at 9 years old, Nick was the same size Jeff Gordon was. Very tiny. So do you hope that you don't hit a growth spurt and you stay tiny? Is it easier to drive if you're smaller?
Like I said with the lead thing, it's pretty big as far as that goes, getting the car how you want it.
If you were 6'5", Michael Waltrip, do you think
Right.
that's a disadvantage for him?
Possibly. I mean, and also the cars, that they give you a certain amount of room to put your seat back and on the floor, or you can build it up however you need to. But once, that can probably be pretty cramped.
Well, I see Michael Waltrip crawling in that car, and I'm thinking, that's got to be tough. It's got to be hard.
Right.
So to be the little guy.
It might be a little bit of an advantage.
So will your dad put a brick on your head if you start growing? Maybe.
It's actually, my first time I ever went to New Smyrna was in quarter midgets. They have a quarter midget track in the middle of that track. And Mark Martin was there. His son raced with me when I raced quarter midgets. And I got my picture taken with him, and I was just a little bit shorter than he was then. So it's helped him, obviously. He's been good over the years, and we're still following him.
He's a good guy. He's a good guy. And there's so many. Do you remember when Adam Petty was killed?
No, I don't.
Has it been about 10 years ago or something? And I said the Petty family has always been, that's the family of racing. And they lost their son at 19 years old. But I can remember Adam, and he, to be quite honest with you, he looked a lot like you. And he was just a little kid.
You know who I think of when I see him? I think of a young Bill Elliott.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was
Honey, you're
going to
do better than Bill Elliott. Awesome Bill from Dawsonville.
$1 million bill.
Yeah. It is amazing. You really have it going on as far as you know what you want. You're doing a great job at it, and you're keeping your head focused, and you're not getting a big head, which is amazing because some people do get attitudes.
And you do. That's something you have to work on. You have to, you get these national rankings that come out on these websites saying that, you're in the top 5 in the nation for people under 18.
And you are.
And Dad has always said, you can fall off that list faster than you can get on it. So, that's something you work on. But you do have, you keep that in the back of your head always, but you just have to kind of let it go.
Well, a couple of weeks ago, a lot of kids wanted autographs from a certain driver. And they had asked them, would you please stop and give these kids autographs? And he refused to. And he makes, I think it's $11 million a year. And I thought, didn't like you to begin with, don't like you anymore. And that's one of those things you have to remember, you have to give back. That's part of life, you have to give back.
In the words of the great philosopher Ricky Skaggs, don't get above your raising, boy.
That's right, that's right.
That's right.
And I think it's important because somebody helped you. Somebody put a hand out to help you and to help you get where you're going. And it's very important to me that you give back.
And I enjoy doing the autograph sessions and all that before the race. They always roll the cars out on the front stretch. It's fun, you get to wear out the Sharpie.
Have you seen how Dale Earnhardt goes like one day a week? He goes in his room and he autographs all these boxes that his mom and his sister have organized for him. And he does all his autographs and they mail them back to the fans. And I think that's just awesome. He sets aside that certain time and does that.
That's one thing we do. We'll have people, you can go onto my website, LoganRuffin.com. We have contact info on there. You can send us an email, and we'll shoot you back a T-shirt or a card. You can ask it to be autographed. I like to do all that kind of stuff. It's fun.
And it is part of giving back because I think people are going to love watching you. Now, when you leave here, will y'all drive straight to Iowa?
We have to go home, and we'll spend the night there, drop off my nephew Joey. He's with us.
We heard Joey in the background earlier, but they must have taken him out front.
Yeah, he's a wild man. He'll be over here pulling down all your stuff on the wall. So we got to go home, and we'll get repacked and everything, get regrouped, and we'll drive to Iowa. Leaving Wednesday, be a 10-hour drive total. We'll break it up and meet up with the crew somewhere in there, and it'll be a fun week.
Now, does your dad drive the car hauler?
Not anymore, really. I mean, we have a guy named Don King that drives it for us. He's also my spotter. He'll drive it, and, if he gets tired or, just wants a break, my dad will drive it, and we've got a couple other guys that'll drive it for us, too. So, but we have a lot of help as far as
I was going to ask you, did people just kind of like you and kind of help you out do you have to pay everybody who does?
I mean, of course you pay them just because you work so hard when you go to the racetrack. There's never a dull moment at the racetrack, I always say.
Before you got sponsors, did you have people who volunteered?
Yes. Well, you always have somebody that comes along and wants to help. They like racing. And even if they don't know how to do it, you can come to the racetrack and help. There's always something for you to do, whether it's wiping down the car or changing the oil. So it's definitely, you need a lot of help to go to the racetrack and be good. So.
Now, did your dad ever race?
No, my uncle raced drag cars for a little while, and I never got into drag racing.
Well, tomorrow we're having a drag race around here. Bob Thomas is coming on. His car was called the Strip Teaser, and this was many, many years ago, but I think that is so cool because I'm a drag race fanatic. I used to drag race, and I love it. It was just like, there's nothing quite like that adrenaline rush.
Right.
Maybe that's why I like jet skiing. It reminds me of drag racing. But have you ever been in a drag car?
No. Never done the drag racing. Just always been into the oval cars. I've watched the drag racing before. I like to do it, watch it on TV and stuff. And we actually were at a track the other week at ORP in Indiana. And the place where they hold the nationals for IHRA and all the big series is actually right next to there, and you could watch the junior dragsters go while you're in the stands at the big track.
We have a girl in Jasper who races. Her dad races dragsters, and she races, and she's been racing since she was 9 years old, and she's a little tiny thing. And she gets in that dragster, and you're just amazed at how fast this kid can go. So, and a girl of all things. So, now, are there any girls who race with you?
There are a few, and that they don't come to the track as much. I don't know why, but there are a few that'll come along, and I know there's a girl named Lindsay Daniels that's local from Nashville that races sometimes, and there's a few. There's more of them in the smaller cars.
Do guys have a problem with girls racing?
Not really. I mean, when you get on the track, you have to look at everybody the same. It's just another car.
Right.
So that's
Is
how I
it
look
Chrissy
at everybody
Wallace
else.
that's doing so good? She's racing trucks, isn't she? Michael Wallace's daughter.
I think so.
I think that's right. And she's doing trucks, and I think they said that she earned respect the first race out. That she did a really good job. So.
That's just like I have to do, being 13 and everybody else is older than I am. I really just
know
have to
when
keep
you
my
crawl
nose
in your
clean.
car, there's some older guys scratching their head. Don't you know they're
Something
just
wrong with this
thinking,
picture.
is that kid testing or what is he doing?
He can't drive to the track, but he
When
can
you show
beat
up,
us
do
on the
most
track.
people know your reputation?
It's just a lot of people have. I've raced with a lot of the guys we race with every week, just because that they run the full travel schedule with me. But we've had a lot of people out. We were at Lanier, Georgia, and we raced at that track.
We raced next door to that over there at Peach State.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we raced Peach State.
Yeah.
And I drove the car out on the front stretch for the autograph session. I got out, and this guy goes, "Oh, look, he drove the car up there for his dad. Maybe you should let him race it." And Dad said,
Oh.
"Dude, you need to look in the seat. That's him."
That is funny.
Oh.
Yeah, I would say, yeah. You might intimidate some people. I think you should be the new intimidator.
But yeah, it's pretty neat, But like I said, you got to treat everybody the same. It's just another car out there you got to beat. So
Now, did you like Dale Earnhardt Sr.?
Yes.
Senior. Well, honest to goodness, really and truly, when he died, I did cry for 6 months because he brought me into the generation of racing. I liked drag racing, and I'd never gotten into NASCAR, but his attitude, his drive, he started out dirt poor, and he really just, and I loved the way he made it.
And
So
he knows a lot about the cars too. One of the stories my dad's always told me is that he was at Bristol one time and hit the wall, and while they were pulling him back into the pits, he was telling the guys over the radio what he hit, what he broke, and what wrenches you were going to need to fix it.
yeah,
And
that sounds like it.
That's knowing your race car right there.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah. And your dad told me you know a lot about your engine. You know when things are right. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
But I've been doing it, for 6 years now, and I've tried to learn all that I can. There's some things I still don't know. Like I cannot set up my own car by myself by any means. But I can do simple things. I can change your tires for you, do the oil, change the gear, change your spark plugs. But I'm
Have
working
you
on
ever
all that kind
wanted
of
to
stuff.
be just an average 13-year-old?
I mean, in some ways, I guess. But racing's just, that's what I want to do.
Right.
I'd rather be at the racetrack than anywhere else.
My child made a statement the other day, and he said, I would go to NASCAR and sweep floors and scrub toilets, haul garbage, I don't care. Whatever it takes to be where the racing's going on.
Right.
Yeah. And I
mean-
said, you have to have that passion, don't you?
Right. I mean, I've always said that if something happened and I didn't make it in racing, I would want to be one of the
Involved in
guys
it.
that worked at the garage or one of the pit guys or the crew chief or something. It's
I wouldn't want to be the spotter. Sometimes they get a lot of heat because they might miss something
Right.
going on, and they get in trouble,
and
don't they?
you got to give those guys a lot of credit. They stand
Yeah.
up there for hours at a time
yeah.
and watch those cars go around, and that can be disorienting. I've spotted for my old crew chief before he races a modified. It's pretty disorienting. You get 4 black cars out there racing together, and you lose who your guy is pretty quick.
Well, the other day we were talking about spotting, and somebody said, I want to ask you something. What if they have to go to the restroom? I said, I don't know. I said, I never thought about that.
I have heard that a few of them actually wear Depends.
Oh,
And
Really?
I'm kidding.
I don't know if you guys know this, but the commercial with Tony Stewart after the road race, I guess at Sharps or something. He the one where he said, he's doing all the home improvement stuff, and he puts on the new toilet seat. He came over the radio about 40 laps into it. Me and my dad were watching. He said, "Guys, we may have to have a backup driver." He said, "I'm cramping."
Uh-oh.
He said, "I'm gonna have to get out." And
Oh, my goodness.
And about 20 laps later, they didn't say anything. They had a backup driver with the suit on, everything ready to go.
Talk about a pit stop.
Wow, yeah.
He got out. He won the race.
Oh, how
Got
funny.
out. No autographs, no trophy, no nothing. Went straight back to the toter home.
That is funny. Well, I've always wondered, how do you deal with emergency situations? Because
Right.
that would be an emergency.
And you got to have your water in there. You
Yeah.
always have your water bottle over in the car with you.
Well, they said they lose average 6 pounds per race. Is
Right.
that about right?
And
Do
it's,
you hydrate during the races?
I try to. It's kind of hard being, you're real tight in the car. Y'all strapped down. Under cautions, you'll try to find your straw on the floor and,
Yeah, at
wipe
180
it
miles
off.
an hour, I think I'll find my straw. Yeah, right.
Yeah, you got this big old tube hanging that you're trying to find, and
Oh, how funny.
you always have Gatorade or something in there, and
Tell
you
you-
try
tell
to
you
get a
what.
drink.
Christy, my wife, tell you what she said one day. We're watching the races. She never has been real big into races.
Oh, Lord, no.
We're watching the race and watching the cars go around the track, and they showed the chute from the bumper level. They showed the bumper
Right.
cam on the car, and it's going around there. And she's sitting there, and I didn't know where this come from. She says, "Boy, I bet that guy gets tired." I said, "What guy?" She said, "That guy in there with that camera." I said, "What?" She said, "Where are they putting that?" I said, "Where they put who at?" "That guy in there with that camera." I said, "There ain't no guy in there. That's remote. That's a remote camera." She was like, "Really?" That's hilarious. That was priceless.
That was pretty good.
I took a girlfriend one time to a racetrack, and we was at the dirt track over Sonoy. Went to the racetrack, and we're sitting there, we're getting ready to go, and they're going around with the pace car, getting ready to doing the pace laps. They're getting ready to go, and she's never been to a race before. She stands up, they coming around the corner, coming around the fourth turn there. She's up there hollering, "Go, go, go, go!" I said, "What are you doing?" She said, "This is a race, isn't it?" I said, "They ain't started yet." Pace car ain't even got off the track. It was hilarious.
Well, it's one of those things. You either love racing or you don't.
Right.
Some people think that we're idiots to sit around on Sunday afternoon for...
And once you catch the bug, you got
Oh,
it.
yeah.
Oh, it's unreal. I mean, it really is. And
Yep.
we drive crazy distances to see racing. We follow racing. And when somebody sent me your website, I immediately called your daddy because I'm sitting there reading about you. And last week we had a kid on who raced slingshots. and he
Right.
ran 85 miles an hour, and he was 12. And I thought, well, that's so cool, you know. Well, duh. Now we've got the big guy up here.
180,
So,
13 years old.
Well, the first person to call in is gonna win Logan Ruffin T-shirt. We're gonna give away the T-shirt first, and then I'm gonna keep the autographed picture for me to keep here in the studio because one day, Sunshine, you will replace my Dale Earnhardt number 3. So, but the first person to call, 866-939-2329, is going to win a Logan Ruffin autographed shirt. And I'm going to tell you, honey, don't wear it, frame it, because this boy is going to make NASCAR history.
And also, anybody that wants a T-shirt can go on my website. It's not up right now, but we'll have a deal up where you can buy the T-shirt. We'll have a picture of it and everything. And make sure you go on the website, check it out.
And it is www.loganruffin.com.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have a phone number. Can anybody, do you have a number they can call if they don't have the computer?
You can call my dad's phone, I guess, at 615.
Yeah, call
Well,
Dad's
it's
cell
on the
phone.
I see
website.
Daddy shooting us.
It's on the website. That's what he puts in there as the contact.
Okay.
So it's
Okay.
615-476-2590.
Because a lot of folks don't have computers. But,
Right.
And I want people to follow your career. And this week in Iowa, will y'all call me after the race and let me know how you did?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, we've got a winner. Carl Cruz has just won. Now, I know that gentleman. And speaking of Carl's, Carl Ed Abernathy, I expect to see them on Tuesday in McCaysville. We're going up to McCaysville, Georgia, and do a live show. I wish you could be there because it's right on the river and it's in a Nifty 50s cafe. Your mom and dad would love it. And they've got an old jukebox. You play 5 songs for a quarter. But they have a car show there once a month.
Oh.
Really neat old cars with the big engines and all that kind
Yeah.
of stuff. Thank you so much for being
Yes,
here
sir.
today.
Thank
you.
Thank you for bringing us a T-shirt.
Thanks for having me.
And I want folks to check out this kid. He is amazing. And good luck this week. Knock on wood. Good
That's
luck.
right.
Now we're going to go to Miss Hannah at the news desk. And when we come back, we are going to talk show cows. They don't go around the ring fast, but they certainly go around the ring. Hang on. Here's Miss Hannah.